What's this wide receiver group going to be like? Because we're now in this run of years where every single season it seems like this is the best wide receiver class for years. The depth, the quality at the top, the seamless transition in the NFL is nuts. Are we expecting another year where we're saying this is one of the best wide receiver groups of the ages?
No, not as nuts as last year. The top two guys are spectacular. They would fit right in. And, that's Luther Burton first from Missouri, who the year before last year had just over 200 yards as a freshman, was kind of an unknown. And Missouri's new offensive coordinator, Kirby Moore, he must have gone in there on the practice field and seen this guy and went, how in the world did you not use him? Because he's got legitimate track speed. He's great after the catch. He makes people miss. He makes contested catches, even though he's only about 6'1", and 200. He's just the full package, And I've heard, we hear the Deebo Samuel comp way too much for every receiver that makes plays after the catch, but this one might actually work. Like and it's not just, what I like about him. He's not just the screen demon, right? 99.9 deep grade last season too. He can do a little bit of everything. I would say the only flaw with him is this intermediate route running, but I just like Luther Burton a lot. After the catch, before the catch, one of just two receivers to be top 10 in grade versus man and zone coverage last year. The only other one was Malik Neighbors. So Burton, if you want an after the catch, like explosive guy with the ball in his hands, that's your guy. And then my favorite guy from Arizona, I just mentioned him, TeAndre McMillan. The more I was watching this guy, down the stretch, probably after about week 6 or 7, when Arizona really got rolling, they started to figure things out. They didn't lose a game, I believe, after their loss to USC. He was the best receiver in the country. This guy, I watch him, and you go, okay, he's 6'5", he's probably just basketballing everybody, right? Now, obviously, he had 17 contested catches, which is great. He moves different than a guy who's 6'5" and 220, 225. This is a different type of mover at that size. This is not just a rebounder. This is I watched him, and the more I watched him, especially on deep in cuts and crossing routes, and I go, boy, that looks a little bit like Mike Evans. And I know that's lofty praise. Mike Evans is going to the Hall of Fame one day, but I just watched him move. I remember seeing Mike Evans at Texas A&M, and I was like, that's not your usual 6'5" and 230-pound. Like, after the catch, he's really good. His hands are great. He had 2 drops on 130 targets. Like, he, to me, is the full package. If you want to go something a little bit lesser from Mike Evans, you want to go something like Drake London, that's fine. But TeAndre McMillan's an absolute freak at his size. Those are the 2 guys that I'd consider freaks. And beyond that, you've got guys who are either going to play a certain role or need a year to either like bounce back or emerge along with those 2. I think those 2 are a little bit above the rest right now.
Talk to me about Tory Horton from Colorado State, because I was deep into this guy's tape for the draft this year and was wondering why nobody was talking about him until I realized that he'd gone back to school. Apparently, Jim Nagy tweeted this, the director of the Senior Bowl yesterday. They had invited him to the Senior Bowl, and he ends up going back to school as well. Number one, do we know why he went back to school? It seems like an obvious guy to come out. He was really good. And number two, where do we expect him to land next year? Because a lot of people that I can see seem to like his tape.
I wonder if he went back. I don't know why, but I wonder if he went back because last year's receiver class was so stacked, right? Whereas like last year, would he have been, even as good as he is, would he have been a 4th-round pick last year or something like that? I'm not sure why he went back. I'm not sure why he didn't transfer. I don't mean to obviously disparage any school or anybody, but man, oh man, to see him at a top-notch school would be so much fun because he's like the fastest receiver in the country. He makes plays after the catch. His speed is not normal. Like he's not just fast. He's like stupid fast where you're talking about like just running by safeties. And the only reason he didn't catch more deep balls and have more deep production last year was really just execution from Colorado State as a team, right? You had a young quarterback, I believe a redshirt freshman quarterback in there who missed him on a lot of deep balls where he was open, but Tory Horton's got it all. I think it starts, though, he's got good size. I believe he's 6'2", and his speed, it's not normal like, oh, he's pretty fast. No, he's like an absolute blazer. Actually, of the entire receiver class, he's probably the fastest one. Like he just, in the slot, I think he could use a little more positional versatility because he lines up out wide to the right. I think it's like 80% of the time or something. They could move him around the formation a little more, but he's going to produce this year no matter what the results are for Colorado State. And if he hits a few more deep balls, he could have a 1,500 yard season with as much as they throw it.